forget, you can hear the full-length, longer version wherever you get your podcasts. How lovely to have you here. You, the listener and viewer, not the guest, although it's also nice to have the guest, my very dear friend, Alex Macqueen.
Thank you, my lord. We go back a long way now.
In these interviews, I've often established for the listener how myself, you may say, and the guest know each other.
Yeah.
It's not always the case. I've interviewed some people I've never met before, but mostly the people I've met before. You and I were brought together. That was our first meeting, was it not? Or was there something else? The Painkiller.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Tell the story.
Oh, yeah. Well, so we did the Painkiller back in maybe 2016, was it? I think.
Probably.
2016 at the Garrick Theatre with Sir Kenneth Branagh. And yes, that was a fabulous and marvellous experience. First of all, I nearly broke your legs, I seem to recall, during one of the rehearsals, during a fight rehearsal. I just remember you screaming at the top of your voice on the bed as I was on top of you. And I thought, bloody hell, you're investing in this. You're giving this proper acting.
And you thought, that's not like Rob.
It's not like you, Governor. Anyway, I then realised as I came off I'd been basically bending your shins over the side of the bed, and you were in absolute agony.
Alex was playing my love rival. My wife had left me for this man who was a doctor, and I was a suicidal photographer in a hotel room next to Kenneth Branagh's hotel room. He was a hitman about to shoot a witness at a trial. So we start to do this play, and we're loving it, weren't we?
We had such a great time.
Because you see, working with him and Sean Foley, that directed it, just such wonderful talents. It's just so enjoyable when you're working with people like that.
It was so good, and also thrilling to work with Kenneth Branagh, because I'd sort of grown up watching him and thinking, wow, this is so exciting. Anyway.
And Rob Brydon.
Indeed. No, indeed.
Work with Rob Brydon.
Sir Robert Brydon, QCMP.
Thrilled to work with Rob.
I was thrilled.
Yeah.
So
really admired him from Marion and Jeff.
You get you get your you have to be we must come to Julia Davis. You have to get to the theatre for the half an hour call, I think it is. Is that right? Half an hour?
You're getting used to this theatrical life now? Well, you should know this.
I should really. You have to be at the theatre 30 minutes beforehand.
Technically 35.
35. And then but on the way, I'd taken a brief takeaway meal from one of the fast food restaurants in town, and it was a pulled pork dish, which was, on reflection, warm, not hot. And at 7:15, with 15 minutes to go, I suddenly realise I've got a fizzy bowel again. So I think, that's uncomfortable. I do feel a bit peculiar, but it won't be anything. It'll just be my nerves. So dealt with that aspect, only to find as I went back into the room, I had that, I'm going to be sick. And I was. And then the stage manager came in just to sort of check for the 5 minutes, and she looked at me and said, are you okay? I said, I don't think I am. So she ran next door to see Marcus, who was the understudy of my part, but also had a part in the play in its own right. And he was told, you need to get Alex's costume on, you're going on. He'd never done any of the fight sequences. I think he nearly passed out, to be honest. And my costume, he's twice the size of me. So he went into a flat spin. And I believe that she then went down, this is the stage manager, went downstairs to see you and Kenneth in the wings. And she just said to him, Ken, just to let you know, it might not be Alex at the door when you open it in 15 minutes' time or whatever it is. And I think he said, I don't know this, but you can tell me. He said something like, unless he cannot physically walk, he will be there.
I always remember that. I remember her saying that. And then he went, and he didn't miss a beat. He didn't break a sweat. He's so calm. Unless he physically cannot stand, he will be on the stage.
And I was. So the door opened.
Half an hour into the play, I have to go upstage.
And you didn't know who you were going to
get
find.
a doctor. I didn't know I was going to see Marcus, and I have to do this fight scene with a guy I'd never rehearsed with. Anyway, it was you, looking white.
As a sheet.
Sweating.
I will have just been sick prior to that door opening, because food poisoning is a beast in it of its own right and proportions. It's so unpleasant. I mean, those who've suffered it know. And I came on, and then we have a moment on the bed together where the lights come down and they go up on Ken.
I'm lying on my back, and Alex has straddled me, our faces close to each other. Then the lights go down and they come up on the other side.
And I just fell down beside you and tried to sort of basically go to sleep. And I just remember you hugging me saying, it's going to be okay. You can do this. You can do this. It's going to be okay. Just do it. Then the lights come back up, and then I think you threw me around the bed. How I didn't throw sick around the room, I don't know.
Well, my memory of that bit where you're above me and I'm lying there was that I was going to... my memory is that I went, are you okay? And you went... And then there were beads of sweat dripping onto my face, and your mouth was going. So I closed my mouth because I thought, oh my God, this is going to be like that film, The Caterpillar.
Right.
I'm going to be infected by. Oh, it was horrible. Anyway, that was how we got to know each other.
That's how we got to know each other. And then I think I destroyed one of your charity events because I went back up. So between the curtain calls, there was pukery, etc., and then. After the show, you hosted a small reception in your dressing room. Because of the nature of a Victorian theatre, all the dressing rooms are sort of around a large internal drain pipe almost. And you said that all you could hear during your reception was... And it was, I mean, there was nothing actually coming out, but it was just a system saying everything must leave.
Now, you spent a lot of time at Holby City.
As the consultant lead in anaesthesia.
I didn't realise. What was your title again?
Consultant lead in anaesthesia at the Holby City NHS Trust in partnership with the Royal Devonshire Primary Care Trust, to give it its full title. Yeah.
You did 75 episodes?
Yes, I did.
What was that like?
Great. It was a brilliant training ground for just seeing so many different styles of directing, so many different styles of making something, because there were so many guest directors and so many guest actors. And I was also really very lucky because I wasn't a regular cast member, I was a recurring, which meant they would, if I had other jobs, they would allow me to step away for 2 months to do that, and which was great. So that's how I managed to do the thick of it and the Inbetweeners, was slotted in around that lovely infrastructure, really. But the downside was, because I wasn't a regular, there was no real storyline for my character, so I was always just going in to say things like...
What sort of things would we find you saying in Holby?
Where's the pethidine? Let's have some more succinylmonium. Sucks, as it's known. Paddles, please. Numbers, please. Not much more than that.
Really?
But it was great fun.
So you did 75 episodes playing that sort of authority figure.
Yes.
Was that the first substantial role in...
Yeah,
I'm going to call it a career. Was it the first substantial role?
Yes, it was, because of the volume of material. Right. But I think before I did the Holby World, I had done the thick of it.
The thick of it was before Holby.
I think, it was. It was, I think it was it was certainly at the same time, because I did an advert for Utterly Butterly as my first job. Oh, really? Wow. I did an advert for Utterly.
Are you saying that I'm in no position to take the moral high ground on somebody
We've both
doing
done
an advert?
Specsavers, old fruit.
Utterly Butterly.
So I did an advert for Utterly Butterly.
Were you the voice of it?
No, I was in Vision, and it was improvised. And
what did you do in it?
Oh, we were in an office canteen, and there was some sort of exchange over a baked potato and the butter. It was very straightforward, but it was improvised. And because it was improvised, the casting director said, oh, you should meet Armando Iannucci, because he's doing an improvised comedy. So I went in, or I auditioned for it.
Armando, this is the Utterly Butterly guy I was telling you about.
And I didn't get it. I thought, oh, dear. I walked away and saw the first series go out and thought, oh, I wish I'd been in that. Oh, gosh, if I can't be in that, should I be doing this at all? Because that is just my cup of tea. So I was very disappointed. And then a year later, I got a call coming out of Waterloo Station. Oh, hi, Alex, just a couple of offers have come in. Holby City would like to bring you in as a semi-regular. And yes, I think you might have met Armando a year ago. Yeah, he's doing a second series, and he's got a part for you. So I was like, oh, brilliant. So that's really when it sort of suddenly began, I suppose, in terms of, I'm working and I can probably move out of home. Oh. Yeah, it was thrilling. Yeah.
Remind us of your role in the thick of it.
I played the Right Honourable, the Lord Julius Nicholson of Arnage, CBE. I gave myself the CBE when props came over and said, do you want any honours and titles? I said, yeah, throw a few in. And Arnage, so my granny was born at a castle in Scotland called Arnage Castle. Yeah. So I said, I think we should have Lord Nicholson of Arnage. Yeah, so it's
and what sort of a guy was this character?
He is a blue skies thinker, in Downing Street. So he's a special advisor in Downing Street, a sort of Dominic Cummings figure, but not in that sort of style.
Not a disruptor like him.
No, not at all. Much more of a complete Wally in that regard. So it was a blue skies thinker under the Tony Blair era, and it was great fun to do. Loved it.
Yes. Now, presumably, an atmosphere of utter creativity at the highest level.
You couldn't have said it better myself, because you're welcome.
The thick of it. An atmosphere of utter creativity.
Nice.
At the highest level.
Lovely.
Under the helm of Armando Iannucci.
Yeah.
But with Alex Macqueen. You may remember him from Utterly Butterly.
And the Holby City NHS Trust. So there were 6 writers on it, and they'd be in the room when the full script was read out.
Sam and Jesse on that.
Not Sam Bain, but Jesse Armstrong
He was a writer on that.
Yes, because Jesse, I believe, had worked in politics, potentially for Jack Straw. I don't know that for a complete fact, but I think he'd been involved as a researcher in some form. Yeah. So he had political insights, which he brought to the room. So the 6 writers would have written the script. We then read it out in a sort of full... accurate read-through.
Yes.
And then each scene is then re-improvised on our own account on our own account. Wow. So, and the writers sit there and go, "Oh, that's a better way of saying it. That's a slightly more."
That must be massively enjoyable.
Oh, it's so enjoyable. It really is. And then, and even then, after having done the read-through where we're sort of we're improvising lines, we then get it on its feet for actual filming, with the new lines added in. That is shot reasonably accurately, and then Armando will say, "Right, let's just do a loose pass." So you know what we need to get to. You have just say what you want to say, but he'll also brief actors against each other with little post-it notes. So halfway through a take, you'll suddenly find, "Oh, bloody hell, why are you throwing coffee at me?" And you then realise, oh, no, stay in character. He's been told to do that on a Post-it note. So you capture a very honest and authentic reaction. So yes, for example, he said to me, when you go in and see Peter Capaldi, just throw the coffee over him. He primes the cameraman to be on Peter for the moment. So Peter gets the most shocking sort of authentic response. And the difficulty is there were occasions when you do corpse and laugh and come out of character, and you feel very guilty about that because other people are doing really, really good work, but you are finding it funny, and that's a cardinal sin, really. But sometimes it can't be helped. I mean, I found it very difficult working with David Haig. I just found him so funny.
Yeah. Where did the Inbetweeners fit in all this, in your timeline?
So that came in between... Well, not bad.
It's funny, isn't it? Because that word is in the title of the show we're talking about. That's really funny. Gosh.
So Inbetweeners came in after the thick of it because that had gone out as a comedy and been sort of celebrated. So I was then brought in for the Inbetweeners, but it was...
That's written by Damon
Beasley and Ian Morris.
And Ian, yeah.
And I went in to play Neil's dad in a show called Baggy Trousers. It was just going to be a pilot called Baggy Trousers. Yeah. And then they shot the pilot. I thought nothing of it. James Buckley, who plays Jay, played my son Neil in the pilot. Then we were all fired. Everyone was released because they said, we're going to recast this because we need it to work in a different way. Some of us were then asked to come back to audition. I said, do I have to go back and audition? I mean, they could watch the episode they've made. I'm not going to be doing much different.
It's going to be largely that.
It's going to be that. And I thought, and also, I'll be perfectly honest, I had no expectation of it. It was a digital channel, sort of small-scale comedy that...
What was this, More For?
E4, I think it was, and just as it was beginning. So I was like, no, we don't need to do this. Maybe I'd just walk away. And my agent was like, well, it's a fee. You might as well... So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I did it sort of, not reluctantly, but definitely without any sort of, oh my gosh, this is going to be a massive hit. So I went into it sort of, a little reluctant. And my son was changed, and... James Buckley became another character. He became Jay. And then Blake Harrison became Neil. So it was a new cast. 3 or 4 of us. Greg Davis was retained, I think, and a few others. And it was shot, went out, no expectation, and then it became a proper old hit. So it was really exciting. And that's been very exciting, actually, being part of something that's very well sort of known.
Also a very young audience.
Well, you say that. There's a lot. I mean, all sorts of people watch it.
I mean, I'm not saying it's only a young audience, but young people.
Young people watch it and they love it. And I think that's principally because it is so true to life.
Yeah.
Because I think, I know that Damon and Ian basically just wrote their school days.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm accused in the show. Not accused. That's not the right word. I am identified as being a gay dad.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not because I was in the toilets at the premiere of the film, and this chap comes up beside me at the urinal and says, "Oh, you play my dad." I said, "You what?" He said, "Yeah, you play my dad. Basically, I'm a schoolmate of Ian and Damon's, and because my mum and dad got divorced, my dad didn't have a wife at school, so they all teased me for being a gay dad." So that's where Neil's dad comes from. Yeah, and then I had this phrase, "Oh, Neil," which was basically. Which came out of sheer and utter boredom on set, basically. I went on holiday just after A-levels with a really good friend and we brought his granny on holiday. And there was a cards evening. And
it sounds like a wild holiday.
there was a games evening.
Just after A-levels, your mate's granny comes and there's a cards evening.
There's a cards evening. And my mate has his brother with him, and he's called Neil. And Neil said something unsavoury, stroke unkind, about his girlfriend who was sitting opposite him. And Granny just said, "Oh, Neil," like that. So she was so disgusted and shocked. So when I was on the set of Inbetweeners, bored, stiff, I thought, I'm just going to mess about for a minute. So when I think Neil comes in and says something daft, I went, "Oh, Neil," and it sort of stuck. Unnecessarily, and I get that is what is shouted at me the most. Oh yeah, definitely. You bummed her a little bit, but that's now become. I mean, it's fascinating, to be honest. It was made 15 years ago at least. Yeah. I'm not sure that it would pass the muster of today's standards, to be honest. Even though it's incredibly popular and still gets aired all the time, but I think it's certainly, definitely trespassing on the new mores.
On the new world order.
What surprises me, though, is the fact that the character is popular and known. Because if I did 5 days on that show, filming over the 3 years, I'd be amazed.
Is that right?
Yeah. I did about 3 or 4 scenes, but having now actually watched a couple of episodes over the years by sort of chance, I realised, oh my gosh, my character is referred to in every episode at least twice. Your dad's this, that, and the other. Yeah, so Neil's dad looms far larger in the psyche than he does in reality. So it's quite interesting. But I couldn't tell you what happens across the series. I know that there's bus wankers and things like that. I've seen bits and pieces like that.
Are you aware of the comparison of Simon Bird, his character, with Rishi Sunak? Are you aware of this?
No, I'm not.
Well, you should look this up online. Okay. It's very interesting. Next time you see Sunak giving a speech, he has the speech mannerisms of Simon as his character.
Oh, great.
You're not aware of that?
No, I'm not, no.
Once you've seen it, you can't
go back.
Unsee it. I want to go through some of the people that you've worked with because there's some interesting names here, and I'm not sure with some of them whether you're on it for a day or 3 days, a week, 6 weeks, or whatever. Okay. First of all, we mentioned her earlier, our friend Julia Davis. You're in Hunderby.
Yep.
Now that was a lovely performance from you. You were so. You and Zander were the ones I remember from that. Some lovely characters. Talk to us about Hunderby and Julia.
Well, God bless Julia for a start. She is the most foul, evil, disgusting character on British television, but she is the loveliest of souls. But outside of it, it's amazing. She's got her material is dark and uncompromising, but she is so lovely, and she's become a really dear friend over the years. And I owe her a huge amount because I also did a show called Sally Forever, but that's a separate thing altogether, really. Because Hunderby was a really great opportunity, and friends have been cruel about it and said that's not a comedy, it's a documentary. But I do play a very peculiar vicar. And working with Zander was difficult in terms of the corpsing. There's a lot of corpsing.
Corpsing? Explain what corpsing is.
It's a very theatrical phrase for killing the character by becoming yourself again. For want of a better
laughing.
word. Basically laughing.
So it's when you see somebody
you come out of a
laugh,
character and, oh no, you're not playing the part anymore.
You're corpsing.
You're dead.
And
the
that's just a
character is
little.
dead.
That's a little explainer.
Julia's approach is if you're not on the verge of corpsing, it's not good enough. So so it's actually very difficult. And when corpsing starts to get infectious, there were moments when it's, oh no, we're not going to get through this take, we're not, and it becomes a panic, and then you're sort of genuinely feeling, I'm letting the side down because we're not supposed to. It's meant to be fun for the audience, not fun for you. You've got a job to do.
I've always found it hard. I'm not a big corpser. And
Are you not?
No, and I get quite annoyed.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right, because I'm pretty disciplined because I do I stand by the idea that it's not for you to enjoy this; it's for an audience.
Julia used to laugh a lot when we did Human Remains. She's
massive on the corpsing. It's massive, but I mean, you'd never see that on the screen.
No.
My word!
And what about in terms of script versus improv? In that, I would imagine she's going to want you to stay pretty close to the script.
She did, especially less so in Sally Forever, but in Hunderby there was a music to the dialogue because it was built. It was from another era, basically.
Yeah.
So there was no room for, oh, do you know what, I'll just busk this.
Yes.
Every word had been chosen with precision. And one of her other great skills is watching her. I watched her in an edit briefly. She's got an absolute jeweler's eyepiece for performance. So you will not come out of that looking bad. Right. You're in such good hands with her instincts for good comedy and for good performance.
Michael Caine.
A glorious individual.
Have you seen the new film with Glenda Jackson?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's powerful. We saw it yesterday.
Oh, really?
Oh, it make you cry.
He was such a nice chap. No, when I first met him, I was very nervous. Oh my gosh, you're doing an entire set of scenes with Michael Caine.
This film was called Youth.
It's called Youth by an Italian director called Paolo Sorrentini. With Michael Caine, he was so nice to me on the first day. He said, I'm so nervous. I get so nervous the night.
You do the voice.
I can't because you can do it so good. I can't.
Just try it.
No, it'll be a dog's breath.
I'm so nervous.
That's it. Yeah.
Alex.
It's great.
I'm so nervous on the first day. Didn't I see you as the anaesthetist in Holby? You did about 75 episodes.
Yes, but we're here to do our lines. So he said to me, can we please go into my dressing room? And
you were only in the Inbetweeners for about 5 days, but everybody remembers you.
It's a work of genius.
Yeah.
So, he was very keen to go through the lines and was very, very nervous. Oh, my gosh, I'm really, really, really nervous. So that put me very much at ease. I was prompting him with lines. So when we went on set, it was a very relaxed, and he was incredibly encouraging and complimentary and kind. So that was meeting a childhood hero in the truest sense, because I'd watched him as a child on telly, which was quite rare because we only had a television at Christmas, just because we didn't.
Excuse me?
I beg your pardon. We only had a TV at Christmas, because my mum and dad were, no, you don't want that distraction you don't want that distraction.
Distracting you from what?
From school and other bits of life. Yeah, I had a very playful upbringing. I would put on shows in the house. We'd have full theatre shows in the house.
So if you had a television in the house, imagine you could be normal.
Possibly, but in fairness, I think it made me want to be on television because it was such a novelty, and it was watching two things: Carry On films at Christmas. I thought, you get paid to do that? I'd like to do that for a living. And then watching Michael Caine, I didn't know who he was from Adam, but I just said, Dad, who's this? Because he's really interesting to watch. I couldn't take my eyes off him. It was about wasps or bees. Is there a film? The Swarm. I said, I cannot take my eye. He said,
a picture called The Swarm.
A picture.
And it was the only one that Alex Macqueen saw. And then years later, I was working with him on Youth. When we go through all these sort of notable people, a rather mysterious figure, Chris Morris.
Ah, yes. I've worked with him on...
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, on 4 Lions. Yeah. And not Peep Show. Oh, Lord.
Jam?
No.
Blue Jam?
It's the one with... Oh,
Brass Eye?
Not Brass Eye. No, it's he was in it as an actor.
Day to Day?
No. Graham Linehan's show.
The IT
crowd. So I worked with him on that.
You were in that, were you?
Yeah, briefly as a vicar.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Chris Morris, again, very, very similar to Armando in style of shooting. And he basically doesn't shoot a scene. He shoots a scene once in one angle and then moves on immediately. So there's no setting up of the cameras for 10 takes. It's that take, just keep moving. Wherever the camera is, that'll be good enough, as it were. So,
well, actually, Four Lions takes us to Adeel Akhtar,
yeah,
who I worked with in a lovely film directed by Oliver Parker, who directed The Great Escaper that we talked about earlier with Michael Caine and Glenda Jackson. Adeel, now, can we talk about this thing that you're developing with Adeel?
Yeah, it's basically about two funeral directors who are trying to keep their business alive because they've got a dreadful mother who's draining the family resources in a home, and she must not be allowed back into the homestead. So
I would commission that in a shot. The thought of you and him.
So we're playing two funeral directors
doing that.
Yes. So one. Yeah. So that's the.
What stage is that at?
Well, it's a sort of pilot stage, and it's with Jesse Armstrong's company, as it happens.
If we've mentioned
if
him
we've
once,
mentioned him once, I've been a right old ponce, haven't I? Shocking. But yeah, we are. I'm doing that with him, and he's a really, really good soul, and it's a good combination because we're very different characters, and we'll see what comes of it. But that'll be improvised. That'll be improvised up as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, if there are any roles for short Welshmen, we've almost come to an end.
Yeah.
I think we have to. We have to admit it's running out of steam. Is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Do you remember the toy crane you purchased for me as a gift?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Every time I see a crane in London, and there are many, many, I always think of Sir Robert.
Because as we were doing this play and we'd walk around London together, you and I quite often, chatting away, having a coffee here and there, he would always be delighted by cranes, huge cranes that were building around London, an almost childlike delight. So I think as a wrap present, was it for that?
No, it wasn't a wrap. It was a first night gift.
First night gift.
Yeah.
I bought you a crane.
And it had a motor, and it was great. And it's gone to a very good friend of mine's nephew. I shouldn't have told you that. It's a lovely toy, but I grew out of it. So it's...
You got rid of it?
What?
You got
it's not got rid of. It's been gifted to a really good cause.
I can't believe this.
I might cancel.
What's that for you?
Oh, gosh. What have I done? But it's in great hands, and it's being used, and it's being enjoyed. Oh, Rob, sweetheart.
I've enjoyed talking to Alex Macqueen. The interview is over.